All right, so I think I'm going to draw up a schematic and kind of superimpose it here, because there's a lot going on and it might not come across in the video as well as I wanted it to. So I'm doing a couple of things. I'm putting the 60 mil throttle body in, which is the same whether you have a turbo car or an NA car. Same throttle body will work. You will get a little bit more response out of the car, yada yada yada. So beyond that is the coolant delete, and for me it's a couple step process. One, because I'm replacing the oil cooler also, and I'm deleting the coolant lines from the throttle body. So I think I'll draw up a little schematic and hang it here in the video so you can see what I'm kind of talking about. But on this motor, from the block to the oil cooler is coolant, and then from your oil cooler, that's the open line right there, that line goes to the bottom of your intake manifold, and from your intake manifold it goes to the coolant line that was plugged into the throttle body, and then the throttle body plugs back into this line, and that goes up here a little bit. It's kind of hard to see. Let's see if I can get my finger on it. So right there is where that coolant line goes back into the motor. For me, I'm deleting all of that, and I'm going to get a line that goes from there back over to here and delete not only the coolant lines that go to the bottom of the intake manifold, but the oil cooler, because the oil cooler is gone, and the throttle body. If you were only going to do the throttle body and you just wanted to delete those, you would just unplug this line and the other line, which I've already taken out because it goes to the manifold, and you would get a double barbed end, and I'm going to take a wild guess that that's about 1/2 inch or metric equivalent. I'm not sure what the inside diameter is on that, and plug those two together and bypass it. I've seen a couple videos where people plug them. I'm not sure that's a good idea, because coolant flow, now if you plugged them both it might be okay, but if not, to me it doesn't make any sense to have all that coolant, that hot coolant, not only going into your intake manifold where it's heating up the air that you're trying to push into the block, but also the throttle body. Now if you live in a cold environment where you get snow, probably not recommended to do this mod, because of icing or having the engine actually run too cold. But the question is why would you have an intercooler and then heat the air back up as it goes into the throttle body, and then heat it up even more with the coolant that's into the intake manifold? I'm not really sure why you would want to do that or what the purpose of that is, because we all know that colder air is denser air, and denser air holds more fuel. So more fuel, more power. So the cooler you can keep your air, that's why we put ice boxes and all that other stuff into here. So those are important things to kind of consider. So like I said, I'm gonna figure this out and draw it up for you so that it kind of makes more sense. But for me, I'm going to go ahead and finish getting this other coolant line out of here. I need to take some measurements of the lines themselves so that I can order the replacement line. Sorry, I've got this speaker on so I can hear what's going on in the house in case my wife needs me. And so we'll replace that with probably a silicone. I'll probably go with a black silicone so it looks more factory and it looks less hidden, or more hidden than anything. That way, if for some reason the emissions people here in California get pissy about it, which I don't know why they would, because coolant lines are coolant lines, they have nothing to do with emissions. But yeah, in this way, the other thing you could do, if you were doing a similar bypass, you can also run a line And then if you had to connect it back into your throttle body, but you wanted to bypass your intake, you could just go straight from the block to the throttle body and then back into the line that goes back into the block, and without the heated stuff. So it kind of just depends on what you're working on. Trying to figure out the best everybody can make that work. So yeah, so my next thing is I'm gonna try to get this line out of here. I have a new tripod that allows me to kind of hover above stuff, so maybe later today, once I actually get out here and do some serious work, like getting all of the belt and the pulley and the alternator and the water pump out, maybe I'll get that new tripod out and give it a shot. Maybe we'll get some new angles. The other thing is, eventually I should probably break down and buy a mic. I don't know. We'll see. All right, so next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and pull this line, and I'm going to try to get this one out of here because I do want to replace this line with one that just goes to there. So this particular Harbor Freight set of bent needle nose pliers works really good. It comes in on the 2-pack. It's a long handled, so you can get in there, but it works really good at grabbing these pinch clamps at strange angles and giving me all sorts of access without having to be straight on. I can come in it pretty much like that. Oops, get my hand out of the way. I can come in like that and grab them, and then I can move them up and down the hoses. So, got them from Harbor Freight. I'm pretty sure they were less than 20 bucks for the pair. All right, so I got the clamp off, I got that hose disconnected from the block. I got the clamp up off of the top of the oil cooler. I just can't get a good angle with any of my tools to break free the grip that the rubber has on the oil cooler, but it's fine because it can come out with the oil cooler at this point. Same thing here. I got the clamp moved way back. Let's see if I can get my finger in. So you can see where it was, and I got it moved on here, but there's a few things in the way that's preventing me from getting a good twist to break that free from the metal. So I'm going to see if I can find a different set of pliers, or something I can just get in there to break that rubber free. I'm trying not to damage the hose in case if I need to reuse it. And this one right here, this fitting right here, is vacuum. This goes to the manifold. So there is and this goes down to your vacuum pump, which is right there. So you will want to hook this one back up, because that's your manifold vacuum. And then you also have this one, which is connected to your vacuum as well. So there are a couple of vacuum lines that do need to be reconnected to your intake. That's just something you'll have to do. So that's where we're at. And so when you hook up your oil line for your catch can, I've seen people connect these up in a strange fashion. There's no vacuum on this side. The vacuum is on this side. So you got to make sure that you hook those lines up in the correct position, because I've seen people open up their can, say there's no oil in them, and it's usually because you've got your lines backwards. So just something to be aware of. I haven't run any catch cans on this car. I've got them, and I will most likely install them since I have all this stuff out of the way. Where I'm going to put them, how I'm going to mount them, that's all up for how I put this car back together here in the next few days. So we'll see that. Oh, the other thing I'm going to do is all of these brackets that were connected to the intake manifold that have all these connections on them. I'm doing away with these freaking brackets. One, they're a pain in the ass to get all of this disconnected, and two, they're a pain in the ass if you're going to try to put these bolts back in, because you've really got to twist things around to get it in there. So I'm going to do away with the bracket. I'm going to take the bracket completely out and just have the connectors. Maybe just zip tie them together out of the way. and give myself some room, because I'm thinking that with the throttle body spacer, that's going to make that even harder, because that moves the throttle body like half an inch or more, and that's gonna, it was already a tight fit, so we'll see. I may not put the throttle body spacer in at all, just depends on how much room I end up having. So all right, enough talking, more working. All right, so I was able to get these down inside there. I just had to take it from a different angle. I just reached in here like this, give it a few twists, and it was able to get that loose enough to pop right out. Same thing with the one that goes to the block right there. Came in at a different angle, twisted, popped right out. So again, these really come in handy. All right, so I'm gonna measure the inside of those lines and order up some coolant line. That way, when I start to put this back together, I have it, because I don't have it on me right now. I did order the new cold pipe to throttle body coupler. I ordered a 2.5 inch to 2.75 inch with clamps. Here's a picture of what I ordered off of Amazon right here, for 20 bucks or so. So that will solve that problem. And the other thing I was going to do, I have another starter that I took out of a 2012 NA. I want to see if these part numbers match up. So I think I still have it laying around. So I'm going to look to see if I have it. If not, I probably scrapped it. It's hard to tell sometimes. All right. I guess next on, we're going to have to get the alternator out. Battery's already disconnected. I'm using that as part storage. And I believe that my Amazon delivery is here for today, so I'm going to go out there and get that and be back in a bit. Alright, like I said, I heard the UPS truck. There is the part that I bought. It says, millimeter wise, 64 by 70. When I measured the outside of this, I got 70. I thought that was kind of strange that the inside's 60 and the outside 70. That's 10 mil thick. Or 5 and 5. I'm not sure how they work that, but so yeah, that's the new one. You can see it's still nice and shiny. Here is my original one. It still has the coolant pipes on it. I could have measured the coolant pipes. I didn't even think about that. That's what happens when you're tired. All right, so I'm going to test fit this to make sure that it actually fits. So if I have to return it or get a different one, that's what we're going to do. So. Not too bad looking. Came with new clamps. Don't mind my airsoft mess. I'm in the middle of trying to work some stuff out with that. I got videos of that stuff up too. But yeah, so let me finish unwrapping this. I want to make sure it fits real good, and then we'll go from there. All right, so yeah, 70 mil outside works just fine. So we're going to be stepping up. And I can test the inside against the old one, because if it fits the old one, then it'll fit the cooler pipe that I already have. So, oops, sorry, I'm moving around on a chair. So yeah, so that fits real nice. And then we'll just go ahead and test to fit the other side, and then when I'm ready to reinstall, we have all the parts. All right, so when I was doing the throttle body video, I said that the barbed end was quarter, and which was this kit here, and 1/4 by 1/8 in T, whatever it is, in T. This is incorrect. The person that posted the information online said this is what they use, but that's not true, because the hoses are way different. So this is never going to get tight enough. You'll have a vacuum leak there forever. So what you're actually looking for is a 3/8 hose barbed end with the 1/8 NT whatever. I can't remember the initials of all these hoses and shit anymore, but that's what you're looking for. There's the part number. Again, I ordered this on Amazon, so I'm going to be switching that barbed out for this one. So the threads are the same, just the barbed end is bigger. You can see where it steps down inside there. So that's what we're looking for. So I'll try to update, put a note in the other one, but if you're watching this, this is not the correct one. You want this one. All right, little side note step, whatever. While I was tightening it down, the new barbed end, I cracked the hole I made. So I don't ever plan on taking this apart, and even if I did, this throttle body was like, this was during COVID. I think I paid less than $75 for it. So I know now I think they're under 40. So why hassle with it? So I use 2-part epoxy. I'm making that a permanent joint, and I'm sealing the whole thing. I will probably come back later and do another coat just to make sure that that stays in there and the crack doesn't grow. So that's what's going on here. That's what I made right there. So yeah, that's just an update. Be careful when you're tightening that down, because it doesn't take much to crack it.